Hello, everyone. Welcome into Rock Rants. I'm Ryan, joined by
Smiggy.
Smiggy. I have a question for you. Do you know what HANABIE means in Japanese?
Well, Ryan, I gotta tell you, while I'm not the bilingual, trilingual, whatever multilingual one that you are, I would have to hazard a guess that as I was doing my countdown for you to start our podcast,
You looked it up,
I
didn't
may
you?
or may not have just looked it up. So if I had to hazard a guess, I would say that Hanabi is a Japanese term referring to the unreasonably cold weather that occurs during spring, specifically during what season, Ryan?
During spring, does that not fit perfectly with what's going on here? We decided to cover this band with that meaning, and I'm not going to give away where you live, but I'm in Ohio, right? Smack dab in the Midwest. Not really, but And yeah, it's going to be 70 degrees. It has been 70 degrees already, and today it was like 25. So we're experiencing a Hanabiye day today.
Yeah, Hana Day, Kuna Matata to you as well. So, yes, apparently this is also during cherry blossom season. So this is very, very specific. But yeah, I live in Pittsburgh. It is. I think I've said that a number of times down here anyway.
Oh,
But
okay.
regardless, yeah, I was on the phone with somebody on Sunday, and it was like I was about to get blown. I was about to relocate actually to Kansas. The way the winds were blowing here, it
Same
was
here.
insane. Like my car was literally being shifted on the road. It was like I didn't like that feeling, but it
Dangerous.
was 72 degrees that day, and as I live and breathe right now, it is 21 degrees and snowing outside my window. So if that is not your global warming newsletter of the week, there you go. Um, let me come right out of the gate and ask you maybe the most basic question that we can, because it's not exactly a secret over the last few weeks that we've kind of been picking bands that are international bands specifically. Right now, almost purely J metal or some semblance of Asian metal, whether it's Japan or not. Um, that does usually mean though that we have not heard of these bands to a greater extent like we would your Slipknots, your Corns, your ACDCs, the like. So I had zero exposure. This is actually the first time with one of these bands that I haven't heard a single song of theirs outside of this album yet. I didn't go and listen to anything else yet. I don't even think after the album ended, I think maybe I let something play, so maybe I heard one, but I wouldn't know. But I have no experience with this band at all besides what we are about to discuss today. What about you?
I found them about a year ago, I would say, and I'm going to be honest, I don't remember how. I told the story last week when we covered Maximum the Hormone that it was like the first day that I downloaded ChatGPT after my friends were telling me about it. I told it that I was studying Japanese and asked if it could help. It said to immerse yourself. What do you like? Blah, blah, blah. And it recommended me some Japanese metal groups, which is how I discovered Maximum the Hormone. It might have come from that. It might have come from a related YouTube video. It might have come from Spotify just playing me something random. I can't remember. But it was about a year ago. I remember it was like last January or something like that. I was sitting around playing Supermarket Simulator because, it's just what I do with my free time, I guess. And I put these guys on and I listened to the albums and songs that they had at the time, like a year ago, and got into them for a couple months. Really, really liked it, and just listened to a lot of their popular songs. Or if you go to Spotify, it says like "this is so and so," and it's just like a mix of their popular songs. That's what I listened to with these guys while playing Supermarket Simulator. I have that association, but I remember it was like last February or March. I looked it up. I was like, "Is there any chance that these guys are going to be coming to the United States? And if they do, are they going to come anywhere near where I am?" And it turns out that they had just been here like last January. So I missed them by like 2 months. Really disappointed that I didn't get to go see them. Who knows when they're going to be back? But yeah, I honestly can't remember which situation it was that introduced me to them. But yeah, it's about a year ago.
I'm actively
What's that
breaking
face?
character here for a second, because not only did I look at my screen and I didn't change the background for the goddamn thing again, which is simple enough. Ryan, I didn't hit record, so
Oh, it's okay. I'm
we
recording.
yeah, okay. So just I will edit this part out actually. So just send me yours and I'll make it work. I
Yeah, all
changed the
good.
background and then I fucking looked. I was like, where's the timer? but that's fine.
That's okay.
And continue.
Just leave this in. This is you get behind the scenes look. Here's some of the outtakes. But yeah, that's my experience with them. They've put out new songs throughout like 2025, and they just came out with a new EP. I think their new stuff is really good too, but that's pretty much it. You and I were deciding what else should we do, and on the international thing, we've done like baby metal. We covered Bloody Wood. We talked about maybe doing Ginger one day, which they're from Ukraine. And yeah, we just decided to stick with the Japanese theme. We did Maximum the Hormone, and now I was saying it as HANABIE as well, and that's even the Spotify AI DJ. That's how he would pronounce it. And then a reel or a YouTube short happened to pop up, which I don't even watch YouTube shorts, but even on desktop, they like recommend them. And it's like, you're saying our name wrong. This was just a couple days ago. And it was HANABIE saying you're supposed to pronounce it HANABIE. So that's when I discovered that, HANABIE is not correct. And they made sure to tell people that. But
anyway.
Anyway.
Calling them Maniskin.
Yeah. Main skin.
I mean, that makes sense though, because like naturally, whenever because it's such a weird double-edged sword though, especially as a white guy. Hello, white guy talking about how hard it is to be a white guy. Because like you don't want to just throw the accent on, because you don't want to throw the stank on and sound like you're trying to appropriate or some shit like that. But whenever you use the accent, you are more inclined to pronounce the word the way it's supposed to be pronounced. So like even if you tried to use that accent and say HANABIE, I bet you would sound like a fucking idiot. So it probably describes itself if you're not scared to do that.
Well, I thought that it might have been pronounced differently, but then when the Spotify AI DJ was saying, I'm going to play some HANABIE, I'm like, oh, AI is never wrong. Like, AI is always right. It was wrong. So
3 minutes into the episode, another AI mention. I believe you clocked yourself on that last week, but we're here to dump all over it at every chance that we get, the way it dumps on the ecosystem.
That is true.
So I also like the idea you posted the other day in our Discord, and it was almost the cliche of like nicest, calmest man listens to the biggest grunge, pig squealing thrash metal that you could imagine. And I am now imagining that when you were listening to this album, or just other metal album, you're just power washing the side of a gas station while we got Slipknot on or something. Not that Slipknot's the craziest thing, but you get my point. Every new image that I get to paint of you contrasting in these ways is such a beautiful thing to me.
One of my friends at work had the same thought, because it was a couple summers ago that I was listening to something like this, something heavy, while I was working, and I route school buses, and so while I was bus routing, my headphones came disconnected. I didn't know it, so I just clicked play, and it started playing through my phone. I paused it real fast, and he was like, "That's what you route school buses to?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry, I didn't know routing school buses had certain music, but
this is America."
Yes, it is. So yeah,
it's such a beautiful dialogue on life, though. There has to be a balance. There's no true ever calmness in anybody's. You got to have the balance, and that is why I continue to say that metal is one of the most expressive genres in the game, and to the point where, to go right back, and I don't think we actually have said the name of the album that we're covering yet. Hello, Above My Head officially now. Although I guess after I edit it will always be hello. HANABIE, Girls Reform Manifest. The most expressive part of this album, I think, is the range of vocals. In terms of the technicality, obviously we can get into the lyrics and all those messaging things later, but I think this band has a lot of talent. I'll just come around and say I enjoyed the album. I don't think it was a showstopper. It had lower lows and a few higher highs than some of the last few albums that we've covered. I don't know if that means it'll probably fall somewhere around the same rating. Not to give that away immediately. I actually don't have my number yet. But one of the things that I was most impressed by was the vocal range. The very higher vocals don't necessarily do it for me. They're a bit more on the piercing and screechy side sometimes. But so correct me here, or I guess just confirm. Whenever they are doing the low growls, the low screams, all of that, is that a male or a female doing that?
Female.
Does it not sound like it could just be naturally coming from a male set of vocal cords? Right there is one of the most impressive things to me.
I could be wrong. I read some interviews and things like that, but I didn't like do a super deep dive into who does what. But I'm pretty sure the clean vocals that you were talking about that you said can kind of get a little piercing. I think that's the guitarist doing that. But then they have their lead vocalist who does all of those unclean, like harsher growls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think she also does like the little it's in We Love Sweets where she's talking all like high pitched and stuff. It's
Yeah,
more like
yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
but yeah, I'm pretty sure it is those two. I mean, if someone in the comments wants to correct me if I'm wrong, please do. But yeah,
And
she's
just to clarify, the normal singing, when I said the part that I don't like is the screaming, but the high pitch one. I don't love that. The normal singing, I think, is actually the epitome of the par, right? Like you're going to do your hurdles and it's the lowest they let you set the bar to even like try to qualify for the Olympics. You have to at least be able to do this, but that's the only thing that it does for me. I think that the normal singing is good, but I think from all of the other J metal bands that I have listened to, the voice itself can get lost in the sea. But I still think it's good. I just don't think it necessarily stands out. It's the higher screams that I don't like.
I gotcha. I have something to say about those higher screams. And I just thought this was funny, especially because we didn't do this on purpose. But when I was looking into their history, which they formed 10 years ago, they were still in high school when they started this band in 2015. They started off as a Maximum the Hormone cover band. And so I think those higher screams that she does, she might have learned by imitating the guy that I said was Donnie Thornberry last week. But yeah, either way, I just thought that was really funny because I don't think they're as chaotic and crazy or anything like that as Maximum the Hormone, but you can absolutely hear the influences there. So yeah, they started off covering their songs and decided to do their own original music like a year later. So I don't know. That's funny how that lined up.
That's fascinating because I actually really liked his vocals. I said that's what drew me into the album in the first place. And now for this, it didn't take me away from it in this case, but if that's an inspiration, I mean, again, it's different vocal tones and stuff too, because they're different humans. So it makes sense still, but wow, fascinating actually. But I guess that would make sense. You're around the same areas, cultures, all of that. Why would you not? Why would you not gain things from other bands around you?
And I know the vocal register that you're talking about. I agree that it's probably my least favorite part of it. And yeah, I think the singing's fine. I think it's a good breakup from just like the harsh vocals and stuff like that. I think her parts are catchy, but she does this thing where she's like singing in like it's almost like a falsetto or something like that. Like it doesn't really fit with the kind of music that they're playing, but again, and not in a bad way when I say it doesn't fit, just more of that, kind of controlled chaos that we keep bringing up with bands like Maximum the Hormone. But it was good. I think I agree with you where you say it doesn't like absolutely blow anything out of the water, but it had enough unique bits so that I was into it. We already talked about We Love Sweets. There's no chorus in that. There's no section that they repeat twice. It's just like 8 different sections spliced together, but it works really well. So things like that keep it interesting.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and not to again directly compare them to the Peak Libidos, but I think a lot of what we talked about with them is that their style was kind of no style, and I don't think that's true for HANABIE here. I don't even think that's true a little bit. But to your point is the first probably 6 songs, something like that. I think it's literally 6 that lead up into We Love Sweets. There's only 10 songs on the album, so that's 60% of the album. But they sound relatively similar in some ways, but there are such big mix-ups throughout them. And actually, I can't say all of the first 6 because the first shining example of this is Raiwa Dating Apps Generation. First off, the name of all these songs, incredible. This is like how you name anime. Like that time I got reincarnated as a slime in the demon world, and it's like a paragraph long. These aren't that long, but they give me the same vibe as how you name anime titles. But although we had, what was the one from last week?
Oh, choo choo loving DVD
yeah.
I'm blue.
But Raya Dating App Generation, I think this one it changes it up a lot. I mean, just to get the obvious out of the way, right? But it puts it almost more attuned to the baby metals of the world than the Maximum the Hormones of the world. It has hints of like hip hop involved in it, but still carrying like those relentless chords and everything that they've set expectations for in the first few songs. So while that is a more extreme example than I'm making the other songs out to be, but that's what I liked about it is they were able to form more of their own identity, but they are still so clearly willing to be like, well, see if it works, throw it at the wall. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But we're gonna try it. And I think Rye with Dating App Generation is a perfect example of that because it's almost attuned to like Kawaii by Baby Metal. It's
Agreed. That's what I was just about to compare
the
it
same
to.
kind of style.
I wish that they did it more because you and I have mentioned before that sometimes you listen to an album and you don't know when it's over. And sometimes that works. I remember you said when you listened to Bloodywood, you didn't know that it had gone on to the next album, but not in a bad way. It's just that they were kind of just ripping straight through heaviness. There was enough variety though. This album to me almost borderline that, where things kind of started to sound similar. I actually listened to the first time I put this on, Sunrise Miso Soup. I thought it was good. I thought it had enough, differences throughout the song that made it stand out. The next two, not so much. And I'm only saying that because I can't even remember how they sound. The next two songs that come after it. But then Our 7 Days War and the Dating App Generation kind of bring me back in. And there's enough variety in there that it's not like everything sounds the same. But I do wish they would have done a little bit more experimental stuff like they did with the Dating Apps Generation song.
Well, now you got me curious now because you're gonna hurt my feelings. But so you said the two songs after Misa Soup, which are Sentimental Heroine and Bukawasu.
Mm-hmm.
Bukawasu, which I am now replaying in my ear to make sure that I felt the way that I felt back then, and I apparently still do because what I'm here to tell you is, Ryan, I think that's actually a really good song, and I think
Really?
it is only 3 songs in. I obviously have to go back and look at it after listening to the rest, but I think. I understand what you're saying because I did lump that in with those first like 5 or 6 songs that do have a little bit of similarities to them. But again, we talk about this all the time. Sometimes you don't have to continue to push that boundary. Sometimes home is the best place to be. It's the most comfortable place to be, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think Bukawasu is a great song. There's a variety in the vocals. It starts off with a little bit of a harmony. I'm listening to these, again, the vocals that you could almost believe are from like the lead singer of All That Remains. The instrumentals they're not being asked to carry the song at all, but they create such a consistent tone that your ears can just play in the background and appreciate. It's almost like 2 different singers, both were assigned one guitarist, and every time one of them goes, that guitarist matches their rhythm, and they're dueling each other, but they're working together at the same time. It's a competitive, cooperative game that the vocals and the instruments are playing together during this, and it made me so interested. I loved this song. I don't know, I guess saying it out loud now, because about halfway through that rant is where my notes stopped and where my brain just kept going. So I think saying that out loud probably makes it my favorite song, but the switch in tone at the end, it keeps the pace, but it keeps the same grungy depth that made this song so unbelievably good to me. So I'm curious how you get to this conclusion on, I guess, that song specifically.
So I muted my mic while I was listening to you. I played the first 30 seconds on my phone. That way the music doesn't come through on this end. And yeah, it has a cool guitar riff to start, and I like her growl that starts off. But I paused it after 30 seconds because I don't know, there was just nothing in it that stood out. I actually mentioned this to you before. I listened to the first 7 songs a lot. And then it's like every time I would have to stop after 7, and then I go, I'm going to restart from the beginning. And I'd listen to like the first 6 or 7 songs, and I didn't listen to the last 3 until later on. But either way, just 2 and 3 didn't stand out to me, and I can't even say why. They're not bad songs. It was just one of those that when it was playing, just nothing from the song like made my brain stop and be like, hey, listen to this or check this out. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean it can't later, but yeah, there was just nothing grabbed it for me there.
Yeah, I mean, if your daughter is going to grow up in a house with an emotionless husk as a father, then that's something that you'll have to deal with later in life. But I thought this song was amazing.
I gotta listen to the whole thing when we're done. Maybe I'll retract my statement, but I don't know. I could just double down after this.
No, no. To be fair, again, I did say that I get how parts of that song definitely fall into that mold, but there was something about it. It's again that way that there's so many songs struggle when you do make that choice to throw multiple styles, multiple switch ups in tone and pace and all of that. So many bands fail to make that work, and when you fail to make it work, it ruins the song. Like there's no, oh, we just kind of missed this time. Maybe we'll no. It makes the song be terrible. This just happens to be one of those instances where I think it hit, or it hit well enough anyway. But to move forward to another song that you had already mentioned, because I also held this one very near and dear in my heart, is Our 7 Days War. So
Yeah.
to me, this opens up like almost like a Linkin Park song. Specifically, actually, the one from their from Zero. Why do bad things take the place where good things go? That it opens up just like that song, which naturally immediately piqued my interest, and I think the rest of it went pretty well. But I'm more interested, and I'm sure the people are, as to what drew you into this song, because I immediately agreed that it is one of, if not the best on the album.
So I liked that it was not how you said the intro reminded you of Linkin Park. I like that it's not just heavy straight out of the gate, which normally I always love the heaviness, and I do. But here's what I'm going to say. It reminds me of, I think I mentioned it for Mice and Men. I love when bands can slow it down a little bit, but they don't turn it into a ballad. I like when they make slower things that aren't just heavy, fast paced all the time, but they don't have to bust out the acoustic guitar or slow the tempo down way, way down. This one just kind of tones it down a little bit, but you still got the heaviness. You still got cool and interesting vocals with it. I don't know. I just ballads has been like almost always my least favorite parts of an album. There's some good ballads, but I don't know. To me, especially on like a heavier album that has a ballad in it, just kind of brings it down sometimes.
It's like a muscle head. It's like a bodybuilder writing a poem. It's possible. It doesn't feel like those two things were meant to be together.
Exactly. So Islander did it too, but Islander and Mice and Men are the two that come to mind. Like, Mice and Men have that song Flowers, and Safe and Sound, where it's not just like a straight heavy metal, let's see how heavy we can make it. Like I said, they tone it down a little bit, but it's still good and it still stands out and it's different. So that's when I told you the songs 2 and 3 kind of in the background for me, this one pulls me back in and I stay in there with dating apps generation. But you
Fair
said you
enough.
had it written down. What's your thoughts?
Yeah. So no, I honestly a lot of the same feelings on that. There's a really good suspense. Also, what I was thinking too is every time you mention of Mice and Men, I forget we ever did that album. And I remember I was gonna say I remember giving that album like a 7, I think, or something like decent. But it is 2 weeks in a row now where we've mentioned it. I'd be like, oh shit, and that's like the best thumbnail I've ever made for one of our things too. I don't know why that one just escaped my mind, but you said that I was like, oh yeah, I guess we have. Anyway, 7 Days War, Holy War, Linkin Park song, great. There's suspense to it though. Every song before it, like you said, was that naturally heavy traditional metal, not traditional metal, but on the heavier side of rock and all of that. But this song, it invites you to wonder if there is a switch up in the beginning. Only like a pistol shrimp to punch you square in the fucking mouth. And with the lower bass tones, they get into the growls a bit more. It stays slow enough, but like actually, I think the way you said it before I continue to ramble describes it perfectly. It keeps a lower, less excited, energetic tone, but it still doesn't turn itself into a ballad. It doesn't turn itself into a love song. It doesn't turn itself into something that it doesn't. Yeah, it took the pace of a ballad and it took the aggressive aggression. That is. I'll keep in the blooper from earlier. I'm gonna edit that out though. It takes the aggressive aggression of harsher vocals with the pace of a ballad, and I think making those two things dance in unison was the best thing that they could have done with this song. And then it goes into it's still a bit more melodic and serenading, like you said, but it does make me really wish that I knew what the lyrics of the damn song were. But at the same time, maybe we learn it, and again, it's somebody selling their brother to the devil, so maybe this mystery is better left unsolved. But to the point of the actual tone of the song, amazing.
It could be really sad too because we looked. Well, oh, another one of my favorite songs, "Sunset Kiss" by Baby Metal,
Hmm?
that they had. That was like the slower one, but they didn't slow it down completely into like some kind
Yeah.
of ballad. I loved that song. It was my favorite off the album. And I remember saying like, oh, this just makes me feel happy. Like when it was a stressful day at work, I turned on the car, it made me feel happy. And then I looked up the lyrics and they were so depressing. So maybe this is the same way. Like you said, maybe we just live in bliss and don't even look up what the lyrics
Don't even
actually
worry
mean.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
might be for the best.
All right, so I have a bit of a broad question for you here then,
Yeah.
because we have talked about our favorites. We've kind of mentioned why some songs aren't our favorites here, and you have so much as said that the last 3 songs on the album you just continued to just not listen to in the first place.
Yeah.
What First question is, what do you think they do on the songs that you dislike that make them bad songs? And do you think that they are more, it's just more like they're not your personal flavor of metal music, or you think it's just genuinely a bad song?
So to clarify, I don't think the last 3 songs are bad. I just kept restarting them, and when I finally did listen to them, it's a shame because number 9, Genkai Numa Life, that one's awesome. That one has like a little piano in it that mixes really
Yeah, yeah,
well.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, what
So
makes
then,
them
just
bad
in
songs?
general, then
That's
for
just
any of the
great.
songs that you didn't like on
That
the
didn't stand
album,
out.
yeah, like even if it's just the case where it's, oh, this is only a 5 instead of a 9. This is only a 5.5 instead of a 9. What do you think when they did miss? What aspects of the music do you think missed for you?
It's literally just because there's nothing in the song that made it stand out to me. And maybe that's just my dumb brain needing something to keep me sucked in. But like Sunrise Miso Soup, the clean vocal part in that, I think is so good. I love how catchy it is and how she's singing like kind of faster and stuff like that. I mentioned how We Love Sweets. It doesn't repeat a single part, and there's also a part where the drums switch it to halftime for just a couple beats, and just that switch up is so good to me. I just mentioned a little piano, so I'm starting to realize I think a song just has to have, even if it's like 3 seconds of the song, if there's a little piece that makes
Got to
it
jingle
stand
the
out.
keys.
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember if you and I were just talking about it one day or if I brought it up on the podcast, but I think Queens of the Stone Age does this so well, where they will have a song, but there will be something in the song that makes it so iconic and unique to me.
Yes, yes.
So like they have a song Regular John. There's just these little guitar parts in the beginning that kind of sound a little funky. They have a riff during it that makes it stand out to me. I think I mentioned it before, but Threes and Sevens, it's a great song. It would still be a good song, but without the slide guitar that they have in the beginning, would it be as iconic as it is now? So I just think that the songs that I did like on here have those things that stand out, and the ones that don't, maybe they have something that stands out to other people, but it didn't trigger anything in my brain. So again, not that it's bad, it's just kind of it's there. What
Okay,
about what about for you?
so Professor Smiggy clocking in. Okay, so now to get back into philosophy 101 here. Do we think I knew it? At the tip of the nose is crazy because I know that you have done this to people, and I know your daughter is going to see this at some point, and that's a shame. So,
Yeah,
but that leads me into asking this question, because you do have a young daughter at home now.
yeah.
How much YouTube slop and AI generated jingling of keys have you watched now? Because clearly your brain is taking a toll from that. But aside from the plight of the common father that I do empathize with and will never hopefully have to understand, uh, it's an interesting thing to me though, because for the last 2 weeks, apparently I've just been on my philosophy 101 shit with why people tend to like the music they like, or why we listen to this, that, the other. So you've essentially mentioned the metaphorical jingling of keys that draws you
Yeah.
into music. And while I did just take a fun little shot at you, I agree with that take 100%. For myself as well, because I even said last week to one of the songs, I can't remember which one, but there was like a little like dingling of like a triangle or something like that. And I said it reminded me like it was almost like a chime, actually, I think is what I said. It would sound like a Sleep Token song, but it
This is
sometimes
starting the
is.
Max on the Hormone song that sounded like a
Yes,
music box or like a little
yes,
little
yes,
chimes.
yes, yes. this guy, his brain still works. We love that. So, but it literally is sometimes just that. Or like I said with Buki Kaesu, the first set of lyrics drew me in just because it was fun. It was something that was like, okay, you got me, and now I'm willing to give the rest of this a chance. Whereas I think in your older bands, again, to pick the most obvious, your Metallicas of the world, they didn't really have to do that. And again, music was still evolving in older generations, this, that, the other. But my curiosity now is striking with bands like this, with HANABIE, where they are J-metal. You can see some more clear cultural differences as to where American metal goes, as to where, Indian metal is gone, whatever the hell Maneskin was trying to do. And Baby Metal and HANABIE and Maximum the Hormone have their own cultures. And you can see how that plays into, and again, these bands that we're covering right now tend to be a bit more on the younger side, or they're newer to the scene in general. Like you said, they've been a band for 10 years, but they were teenagers when they started. So they're
it's like the first year of high school.
Yeah. So, okay. So they're 1,000% younger than us still. But do you think that this is kind of a coming of age, I guess not coming of age, but a growth into a new era for metal where this may even continue to seep over into the more traditional American bands that we listen to because of, think of who your audience now is. It is the people like I just accused you of watching Mr. Beast videos where in the first 10 seconds a car is blown up 7 times already and things like that. So are we going to now see an age where bands are going to try and almost put like a producer tag, right? Like mustard on a beat, but it's just whatever in the beginning of the song for metal bands now. And the idea of that both terrifies the shit out of me because you could do that so wrong so fast, but it also excites me because we have now both said that has drawn us into individual songs. But is that something that you're maybe potentially seeing now with some of these, I'm going to say just international bands, but I guess all the bands that tend to be on the younger side?
I have 3 things to say. First, what you don't know is while we record this, I have videos of Jetpack Joyride and Minecraft and carpet cleaning videos in the background so that I can focus. Okay, not true. But 2, I absolutely love that. I think for as long as we do this podcast, Monoscan is probably going to catch strays at least every couple episodes.
They're not strays. They're direct shots. I'm pointing the cannon at their faces.
And 3, yes, I do think this is the direction that we're heading. Because funny enough, when I read an interview with HANABIE in it, they flat out said that they're not trying to capture people's attention like how we're describing, like, oh, let's put this one thing in here so that we can, when people are scrolling through reels, they can find it. But they flat out said that they discover new bands themselves through TikTok. Like that's where they end up seeing new bands. And how many times have you and I sent each other reels of like the Greek band that's like, Opa, smash the plates, there's the breakdown.
And that's their only reel ever, by the way. That band is starting to piss me off because I followed them and it's just every other day, it's just a different version of that. Like, and I like that song. Just give me something different.
Yeah, didn't you tell me they're from Israel? Like they're not even Greek or something?
They're from Tel Aviv, but they call it Greek Tavern Rock, but they're from Tel Aviv. Yeah, I don't know.
I discovered a band called Not Enough Space where people were calling it Moancore. I'll let you look it up later on your own, but let's just say it was a viral TikTok clip that made their song blow up because of one part in the song. And I'm not saying it's a bad song, but if it wasn't for that one part, it probably wouldn't have blown up. There's a group called Not Enough Space, and I can't remember what the song's actually called. But if you tell me the titles, a couple different titles.
Yeah, you're good. Continue on.
It'll ring a bell. 3, didn't you send me a video of like Celtic Scottish woods metal or something crazy like that? So
yeah.
Point being,
because it's all my damn Instagram is now.
I do think that we are headed in this direction. Do I think I almost said HANABIE. HANABIE is doing this intentionally? No, because even with their new songs that they came out with in 2025,
Moancore. I see. Sorry, continue.
Oh yeah, did you? I'll send you the song later, but because I can't remember exactly what it's called. But the songs that they came out with in 2025, there was none of those things that I'm describing were in their songs. So, and plus, like I mentioned, Queens of the Stone Age. That was before like songs were going viral on social media. I just think they were good at adding in little things that make their songs fun. So, I don't think all bands are quite headed that way. And also, Deftones has exploded. Deftones has been around for 30 years. I remember talking about during that episode, I saw them at a music venue with a medium sized capacity. And then after they exploded on TikTok, just because people were using their songs for background, it's not even like there were little catchy things that people were grasping onto. All of a sudden, they're playing like nationwide arena in Columbus, like 30 years after they start, just because their songs got popular on TikTok, and not even because of specific sound bites. Just people discovered them through there, like
Oh
the
yeah.
younger generation. So I don't know. What do you think? There, are we headed toward like metal brain rot?
See, that's the part that both terrifies and excites me because you do have to adapt. Obviously, we can't. Like metal itself has always been adapting. Metal at no point necessarily has stood still. We've obviously had, and again, to go right back to the well of a band like Metallica, where they're one of the four. They're on the Mount Rushmore of metal, regardless of how you feel about like them as individuals or their journey or whatever. They helped mold this genre of music we get to talk about into exactly what it is today. But even them, whichever one is more appropriate there, even they didn't stay within the same style ever. Like obviously
Yeah.
now they're older and they're just kind of doing all of their shit, but they were a garage grunge band for a little bit. They were a heavy metal band for a little bit. They were a 90s hair band for a little bit. They were everything that kept evolving into this. So to I guess to say, are we heading into a new era of metal, as I put it earlier, maybe isn't the most appropriate way to put it, although I still think that holds some merit to that idea. But to drill deeper into it in the way you put it, are we going into metal brain rot? I think the answer on all ends is yes. The more I think about it, because looking at something like TikTok, where I discovered, or Instagram is where I discovered the cover artist Matt Glocky, who just does.
Oh yeah.
If whatever song was done by whatever band, if Spice Up Your Life by the Spice Girls was done by Disturbed, right, and then whatever, found him through Instagram. And that is still covering more traditional rock. And yes, it is by nature just being a cover artist, essentially. But to the same token, it's still on the brain rot side because you're jingling the keys for people. It's taking something that has already been created. For this specific example, it's taking something that's already been created, being like, look at this fun little twist that I put on it. It's like the Weird Al of
Yeah.
metal, which is again not the I'm struggling to put this the exact way that I want, but I think in that example that is still slop, although it's good slop because it's still a different style of metal that isn't, we're adding this one little thing to catch your attention at the beginning of the song, or this feels like it could be in an anime which makes it cool, or we have 17 different ideas in here. That kind of slop is the slop that scares me. But I do think it's inherently all slop. But to get to the actual spirit of the question, do I think that we're going to start hearing more bands like HANABIE, where you are kind of making the music for TikTok? Whether or not you're directly doing it, you're kind of making music for TikTok. You're making music that is meant to be shared in 15-second clips where part of your music video is moancore, or at the beginning you break a plate over one of your band members' heads. I think there's different degrees of slop, but I think for that degree, I think we are going to get more of that for the exact reason of even some of metal's more middle-aged fans at this point are becoming us, right? We're in our young 30s, but we are now somewhat of the unks of music in terms of how the internet views it anyway, right? So internet creates culture these days. What are you going to make music for? To get the views, to make the money. And who are you appealing to? The people that are using the internet at rates we have never seen before. What do they want? They want Subway Surfer in the corner and Mr. Beast involved. So, Your Honor, my final say on the matter is I think it is here to stay, at least for a while, because I don't think the older generation will speak up in the places that matter enough, like the internet, other than fucking Facebook, I guess. That I do think it's here, but I think it can be managed more than well enough because of bands like HANABIE. This is slop for some of those reasons, not the whole album, obviously, but it's slop, but it's good. It's still good.
And here's the thing: as long as people aren't just doing something interesting for 5 seconds so they can get their TikTok clip and then the rest of it sucks. Like, people are always mad and they're like, "Oh, this band is just a gimmick." I don't know how many people said that like Slipknot is just a gimmick because they wear masks. It's like, Okay,
Kiss was a
sure.
gimmick,
Kiss
but it
is a
worked.
gimmick, okay, but it's fun. Slipknot's music is great. I listened to Slipknot without having to watch them in their masks. But the time I got to see them live, seeing all those guys up there in their jumpsuits and masks and stuff like that was cool. So
Yeah.
gimmick or not, it was enjoyable. I mean, bands that wear all black, that's a gimmick. You know what I mean? I just talked about how HANABIE is touring the US with Necrogoblicon, and I got to see them live already once, and they have a guy in the band that dresses up like a goblin and is up there on stage. And before he did vocals, his role in the band was literally hype goblin. So he was just up there getting the crowd pumped up, and that's a gimmick, and it works. It's great. So I don't know. I think there's a difference between trying to just grab 5 seconds on TikTok or something like that to make yourself blow up versus having some kind of gimmick behind you, for lack of a better word.
Yeah,
Um,
it's the intent of the matter, and it's how you implement it. So that's why I think something like this is implemented correctly. Whereas to what you're saying, if you're doing it solely for the clicks, then you're gonna fuck it up because you're not doing it to be a part of the song. But
yeah,
carry on.
I have a question for you. When I was reading one of their interviews, they said that one band member will start a song, and then every single member contributes. Which, whatever, like a lot of bands have everybody contribute and help write a song. But the way that they made it seem, and maybe I was just misreading it or misinterpreting it, the way that they made it seem was instead of all of them working together on it, they're like, this is my part, you have it and build something off of it and add in your part. Now you take it and build in something and add your part. And I also saw that their drummer didn't even listen to metal music. She was like a pop fan. They said that one of the members is really into anime, so she throws anime influences in there. One of the other members is a big video game fan, so she throws her video game influences in there. And so we just got this big pot of not exactly collaborative, I guess, but everyone's just, I guess it is collaborative, but you know what I mean. Instead of like, oh, I don't think you should do this, let's do it this way. They're just like, all right, that's your part. This one's mine. This one's mine. Here's what I'm contributing. Do you think it works? Do you think that their songwriting technique is working in this case?
Let me tell you something, Ryan.
Yeah.
I'm actually impressed with myself because, as you were saying, one of them likes anime, one of them likes video game, blah 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 blah. I felt this. It was a weird thing for me because I felt all of those inspirations in this music, but I didn't want it to come off like Japanese metal, Japanese culture.
Oh
As an
yeah, they must
American,
like
what do you
anime.
think anime video game? Right, right. Secretly, I was thinking it the whole time. So, but that is impressive because obviously you can hear it in their music and it's correct. So that's even better for me. Um, but to get to your actual question, I actually heard an interview from Avenged Sevenfold not that long ago for the creation of the song Afterlife.
Yeah.
And generally the idea of it was that they were all in the studio writing this song, trying to get their parts together. The Rev was trying to get his guitar part together, blah 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 blah. And they or not the Rev, Sinister Gates was trying to get his guitar part together, blah blah blah. The Rev apparently was just MIA for the whole process of making that song. They just could not get a hold of him. So eventually they get to him and they're like, we need to get the fucking song done. And so they finally get him in the studio, and he comes into the studio with a completed song, nut to butt, had written the guitar parts, written the drum part, like did fucking everything. And they obviously implemented parts of what M Shadows wrote for the lyrics, and obviously how you're gonna tell Sinister Gates not to do what he does on the guitar. So they did implement parts of what they did with their own individual pieces as well. But the Rev walked in and said, "Here's the song. We're gonna do the song." They did the song. It's Afterlife. It's my favorite Avenged Sevenfold song ever. So that's incredible. But to that point, I actually think it is, if nothing else, very interesting in practice to try that, right? Because we just talked about something that makes this band as successful in our eyes as it is because they are able to take up those switches and pace and flow even within each song, not just from song to song, within each song, and they do it successfully. And to maybe it is because you're not having one brain try and switch something up 3 times during a song. Maybe it is easier to say, Ryan, you write the opening, I'll write the hook, somebody will write whatever, whatever necessary parts, right? And then you, even if you have where your part meets my part and it clashes a little bit, then you only have to work to change 5% of the song to make that transition a little smoother rather than trying to figure out how to do the next. I don't know. I think it's cool to have those clashing ideas and then collaborate on the intermission period there, that connection period, that conduit period there, rather than have one person try and write three songs. Rather than have one person try and write three songs in one, have three people write three songs in one and find the way to combine that.
Instead of one person trying to be different, trying to like, how can I mix this up? And, you know,
Just
write
have three
three
people be
different parts for this song. Yeah, just have that. I guess the way I was picturing you, all valid points. And I'm understanding now after you said that how it works. But the way I was picturing it is picture it was me, you, Saul, and one of our fourth friends who I don't know if, you know, anyone else wants to be named on the podcast, but picture we're all standing in a line in a kitchen and our goal is to make a sandwich.
Yeah.
And I walk up and I put the bread down. And then you walk up behind me and you put the lunch meat, the turkey lunch meat down, and then Saul walks up behind and he puts down like he sticks an Oreo on top, and then the last person puts like the cheese and the bread on. It's probably not going to be the best. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense just to have people do their own thing to build one complete song, or in this case, sandwich. But yeah, I see what you mean. With their style and the chaos and how much it switches up. Maybe it doesn't fit at first, but they can figure out ways as the song is being written to kind of make it all flow.
So I think contextually as well, something to think about is like, yeah, you would have to almost know to what degree they're being told to be an independent person here. Obviously, like you're writing your own part, all of that, but I wonder if it's like it's you give them a script that is the shell of the scene that is happening and say write your parts within this shell, because then at that point, and then if you're part of a band, like I would like to believe that if you put the bread down, I put my meat on it, Saul's not coming and putting fucking Oreos on it after that, because then we're just not a good band, right? But
that's true.
So the way I'm picturing it in there is you put the bread down, and then I come behind and I slip my hands through your arms, and now we're working together, and I'm putting the pieces down, but with part of your guidance. And but that, regardless of whatever picture I'm trying to paint here for viewers, is I think you also have a very valid point. But to me, the distinction there would be kind of what I just said, where if you are a good band and if you understand your bandmates enough, and if you're being given what the song is about. Obviously, that's still a monumental task to make something that meshes together from multiple different people, especially potentially three or more. But I think that is a really good test of the metal of a metal band. Because if you're a good enough band, you probably should be able to work off of each other like that, right?
Yeah, and I mean, they could hate each other behind the scenes, but to me, that sounds like good collaboration. It makes me wonder why System of a Down, after 20 years, still can't work together. But, you know, whatever. This isn't about System. But anyway, any other songs that you wanted to cover before we wrap this up?
You know, I think we would be remiss, and I actually want your thoughts on this way more than mine. So we've mentioned it a few times, but the first song I heard from this band was recommended to me by you, and maybe it was the first one you heard from them or whatever, but I think it was definitely. So there you go. So I think we should pay a little bit of homage to. I'll let you give your whole rap here, but to that exact song. What? First off, you tell us what the song is. You tell us. You did tell us how you found it already, but what drew you in? And that had to, of course, been somewhat of the genesis of wanting to listen to this band more. But I don't think we've covered that song enough yet, so go on.
All right, so that is the first one that I heard, and I mentioned it already, but none of it repeats itself. A lot of the times for songs, you know, you have intro, verse, chorus, or, you know, there's a bridge in there and then your outro. This is just different parts, one after the other. And so we were talking about, does it work? Yeah, I think it does work in this, to where there's just one thing after the next, and there's not the traditional, I guess, song structure to it. The heaviness in it, because you talked about her vocals where you're like, it sounds like a man. And when we're saying that, we mean that in like the highest compliment possible, that your vocals are just
She's hitting
awesome.
the register she wants to, yeah.
Yeah, so her vocals were great. I liked the clean vocals in it. The guitar and bass and stuff are really good, but there is one little part in there, and I can't even say which part it is because I don't know what they're saying, and I can't repeat the part of the lyrics. I don't have strong music theory, but I was watching a video about drums where you have like your regular time, and then you go to halftime, and they do that in this where they don't slow the drums down, but it's hard for me to explain, and I don't know 100% what I'm talking about here. But yeah, it goes into a little halftime groove, and it just stood out to me, and I was sucked in at that point. And the song, because of how crazy it is, it just kept me pulled in the whole way. And I don't think it's very long either. Yeah, 2.5 minutes. So it's not like you have to sit through a 8 minute Led Zeppelin song. It's really good from start to finish.
Yeah, I think that's more than a ringing endorsement that I could have given it, although I do thoroughly enjoy the song too. It got me into the album as well. So to your question though, I really don't have a whole lot left on this. Like I said, this is another band to me that I think was impressive. I enjoyed the album. I have really no overly bad things to say about it, other than I think it's of the international bands that we have covered that aren't Maneskin, they're just forfeit in the conversation to me. But they probably are the lowest on that list so far.
Okay.
But it's another one of those where just because the other ones were good, not because this one's bad.
Mhm.
Which does kind of help to, again, that philosophy 101 question of, am I judging this differently solely because it is a different nationality of metal? And I think now we've just listened to so many international bands, there's no distinction to be left anymore. But no, I don't really have anything crazy left to say about this. So why not? I think we've probably both at least hinted at it at this point, but why not give your absolute number one favorite song and what you rated the album?
We Love Sweets is number one, but if I can't pick that one, it's gonna be probably our 7 Days War. Sunrise Miso Soup was a close second, thing, so I'll put that one third. But yeah, those are my. You said favorite song, and I gave top three, but oh well, that's what they are. Um, out of 10, if anyone's new here, our ranking system's a little different. Normally, you hear 5 out of 10, failing grade. That's a 50%. No, five. If you're looking at it on a scale, five is right in the middle. So five would be super duper average, nothing special, run of the mill album. I'm gonna give this one a 7 out of 10.
Well, favorite song first. I think it's. I'm gonna give my top three too because I think it just kind of broke
Yeah.
out that way. But I do have one that I know is number one. The other two just they really fight for it. So the two that aren't it are Bukawasu. Like I explained, I thought that was just a really good song. A lot of good switch ups in it. All of that. Our 7 Days War. I think if I had to guess, if you polled 100 people what their favorite song on the album would be, it would either be We Love Sweets or Our 7 Days War. I think it's one of those. So those two are the 2 and 3 for me, whichever order you want to put them in. And then I think Ride with Dating Apps Generation is just it for me. I don't. There's something about that. The same thing with, I think Kawaii was my favorite from Baby Metal. If not, it was top 2. There's something about mixing in that funk, that hip hop aspect into metal that really does it for me. That's more of a personal flavor thing, but it does make it my favorite song. So I would say Ride with Dating Apps Generation for sure.
That was almost number three for me. Sunrise just barely took it, but yeah, it's a great song.
Another good choice, honestly. There's, like I said, there's just, I don't think there was one on here that was lower than a 5, a 6. Like there were some that I definitely like don't really care to listen to again, even if it comes on, but whatever. To that end though, I think I said last week that I gave a lot of these bands a 7.0 and I wanted to give Maximum the Hormone a 7.5 because they were on the upper echelon of what I thought of a lot of those bands, which I think almost leads me to give HANABIE like a 6.5 because I think they are on the lower end of that. But I don't think they deserve that. So I'm going to stick to a 0.5 or a 0.0 for the sake of how we usually do this and say 7.0. But if you held a gun to my head, I'm thinking like 6.8. Something like that.
Okay.
So they're on the lower ends of the 7.0s. But so the point is it's still really good. I think it's on the lower end of that above average, but it's still above average. So love it. Good band.
Coming up next, I want to do some video game stuff. Smicky and I met through video games basically on Twitch. We both love them. It's right up there with music for us, video games. So I don't know. We might talk about Tony Hawk or Madden, or I think you said the NHL games, Guitar Hero, all the ones that have cool soundtracks. We just kind of want to talk about that. So might be another album, might be a video game episode. Who knows? If you've made it this far and you have an album you think we would like and want us to review, let us know.
You two frogs, hop on the lily pad of love, hit that subscribe button. Let us know what you want to see down in the comments as well. If you're on Spotify, same thing. There's comments in there that we promise we read. But yeah, as always, this it's a viewer based product. So whatever you guys want to hear, we would love to cover. Any and all support helps. And yeah, we'll probably get into some video game related music in the next week, maybe even 2 or 3. We'll see. But in the meantime, in between times, this was HANABIE, Girls Reform Manifest, given a 7.0 by both of your favorite rock ranters, Smiggy and
Ryan.
This is HANABIE, Girls Reform. And I think every time, whenever you were doing the thing today, I was trying to run the slot machine in my head of how I wanted to introduce myself, and I just ripped the same one I always do. I was like, that's not lazy. So maybe that's something for both of us to work on, but
I think so.
Smiggy and Ryan, HANABIE, Girls Reform Manifest. That's the name of the album. I don't know. Thank you all for rocking with us. Love you all.
Bye.
See you next time.